Seattle House Mafia.
Welcome to another episode of Seattle House Mafia's Industry Interviews. Today's guest is an instructor, performer, choreographer, and founder of You Can Shuffle With Us, a movement that's bringing some serious vibe and energy to the Pacific Northwest dance scene. What started as a simple curiosity after watching shuffle dancers at shows and festivals turned into a full-blown passion and a mission to help others find confidence, connection, and the joy through dance. She's performed everywhere from local clubs to major festivals like Beyond Wonderland and the Gorge Weekender, and she's become one of the most recognizable faces in the regional shuffle community. Cisco, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for that. You made me sound very cool.
You're a big deal. You're our first shuffler, dancer in here.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome. Huge honor.
First shuffler and dancer. I'll be very clear about that. So, yeah. You know, I was doing a little bit of research on you, and you obviously you come across as very genuine, but I really love the story because it focused a lot about sort of helping you with your confidence and being a little bit unsure about, curious, but like a little nervous about it. I don't know. I just really loved how humble you were about your beginnings in shuffling, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So tell me, can you tell us the story when it first clicked? Like, what brought you to shuffling?
Yeah. Well, what brought me to shuffling was binging YouTube videos, as one does.
Was this during COVID?
No, it was pre-COVID, actually. Okay. This was in 2018. Actually, my 7-year shuffle anniversary was yesterday. So exactly 7 years and 1 day ago, I was binging YouTube videos, and I saw this girl, Elena Cruz, and I just watched a million of her videos in a row, and I was just going, oh, I wish I could do this. This is so cool. And then after, the 8th or 12th or 20th video, I was like, well, why don't I do it? Why don't I just try? And so I just got up, put my sneakers on, and I slowed her videos down to like half speed. I would scrub them back and rewind them and watch them over and over again and just try to figure out how she was doing the moves. There wasn't really a lot of tutorials back then. So
it was just like her dancing kind of.
It was just her dancing
a little bit.
Yeah. And I tried it, and I looked terrible, but it did kind of click. Like, I could kind of figure it out. And I was like, well, if I could figure that out, why don't I try this other move? And one thing kind of leads to another, especially when you're starting something new. Having a quick win early on can really give you the confidence and the momentum to keep going. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just kept figuring out one move after another, and then I got obsessed, and I'm a very obsessive person, and so that led to practicing for hours a day every day, and here I am. It's pretty crazy.
So hours a day of like digging into YouTube videos, watching like hyperfocus. I know nothing about hyperfocus, by the way. I wondered about that being kind of a lot of people's. I'm sure it's evolved, but is that how a lot of people? You said 7 years you've been shuffling. I'm sure you have friends that have kind of been doing it that long. Or are you the old timer out of all of them?
Well, that's a great question to ask with kind of a loaded answer. When I first started learning, I was actually living in Atlanta. So I moved here in 2019, a year after I started to learn how to shuffle. And there was an established community here at the time. So I kind of linked up with them. They have been dancing for much longer than I have in the Seattle area. But at this point, I've kind of branched off. I've started teaching classes because no one was offering them. And a lot of people just don't really have the stamina to learn on YouTube the way that I did. It takes an obsessive person, and not everybody has that, which is very healthy. I love that for people. But I thought that if I taught classes, it would be able to bring more people kind of into the fold and help me find more friends to dance with. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, out of the people that I kind of hang out with at this time, I am more of the OG, but I'm certainly not the OG in Seattle.
Right. So that was what I wanted to follow up on. So when you first started watching videos, you got a little obsessed about it, but was it love, I'm going to figure this out if it's the last thing I do, or if it was wow, this looks hard and I don't know if it's for me, until you really started kind of grooving into it?
I think, at first it definitely was a little bit of intimidation and not really knowing. I refused to take any videos or let anyone see me practice for like the first 5 months of doing it because I thought I looked so cringe. And now I wish I had those videos because it's just so important to know that everybody starts there.
Totally.
Yeah. But then, I'm a very kind of competitive person, a very determined person. I grew up in athletics, and so once it started to click, I was like, all right, this is my entire personality now. I'm going to get good at this if it's the last thing I do. And that's kind of where I'm still at.
Did you ever have that? I think everybody kind of wants that, like, to just stumble into their superpower. Did you ever have that feeling like, this might be my superpower and I might be able to pick it up right away? And yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I was 1,000% expecting instant gratification with that. It was deeply humbling to try it and look so bad. And like for the life of me, I could not keep up with the beat. It was so fast. It was humbling. But as an adult, it's really good to do shit that humbles you. Can I say shit?
Absolutely.
Okay,
we can
great.
swear all we want.
Yes. Yeah. It's so easy to just get caught up doing the things that we're good at and just reinforcing this idea that we're so good. And then when you become a beginner at something, I don't know, it just shows you how much more there is to life.
I don't think, in general, I say we as a collective, I don't think we do that enough. I don't think that's pushed enough in, because you can be very comfortable in society, in Seattle, and what happens then, you have to be very intentional about challenging yourself, and challenging yourself kind of sucks sometimes, and going to the dojo or going to the dance studio and you're just like, oh, I got a headache, or I'm not feeling it, I slept 3 hours or whatever. I don't know. It's a hard thing to get across to people, but when you have that mindset, I think it's super valuable. And like you said, once you start like progressing, it's so fun.
Yes, and it also kind of takes the emphasis away from like, oh, okay, my identity is based off of how good I am at this thing. And now it's like, okay, my identity is based off of my willingness to grow and my ability to learn. And I think that that's just a much healthier approach to life in general.
Yep. So you said you were an athlete. Did you have a dance background at all?
No, but I was a competitive gymnast. So there's a lot of body awareness that kind of transfers. But yeah, my mom tried to put me in ballet. I was not into it. I never saw myself as being able to be a dancer. Just wasn't on my radar at all. But yeah, something about shuffling specifically clicked. I think it's the music.
Yeah. The combination of the music and probably the energy of the scene, and yeah.
For sure.
So competitive gymnast. That's a tough, how long did you do that for?
10 years.
So from like what age? Like 5?
Yeah.
I've known some competitive gymnasts that have gone completely the other direction. They don't exercise at all anymore, just because it was such a brutal, regimented, like 6-8 hours a day of gymnastics.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a way to, destroy your body for life at a young age, that is like a great way to do it. But it also, I think if you're willing to commit to something that hard at that young of an age, it can teach you so much. So I really appreciate that my mom put me into that, and I just
you're not angry at her.
No, she sacrificed a lot for me to be able to do that, and so it was a huge blessing for me.
So you said you weren't interested in ballet. Well, now that I flip this a little bit. Now that you're shuffling, have you gone and explored other sort of genres of dance, like modern, jazz, tap? I mean, they're all kind of integrated anyway, a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, we could talk about that at length. But I would say that yes, I am super into all dance styles now. Shuffling was kind of like my gateway drug of dance.
Love it.
Once you get into it, you start understanding how much work it is and how much goes into it, and all the different ways that you can flow to music and express to music, and everything that other dancers do just starts to be a lot cooler because you kind of understand the secret sauce. So yeah, especially lately I've been like diving more into house dance, really into hip hop, really enjoying go-go dancing and heels dance. I kind of like all of it. Eventually I'll get around to more, but those are kind of what I'm focusing on now.
Yeah. So you said you came from Atlanta. That's where you grew up, in Atlanta? That's
correct.
And you moved to Seattle and you weren't shuffling yet?
I had just started.
Oh, you just started. Mm-hmm. So, because the other thing I noticed about it, it's very sort of focused, community focused, sort of connection, the things I read about you and just some of the things I watched. And I would imagine coming up to a place that you haven't lived before, on the other end of the world, basically, Seattle, it helped you meet new people and find kind of find your happy place without just sort of stumbling around. Is that the case?
I would say yes. Yeah, when I was living in Atlanta, nobody that I knew shuffled. So when I moved here, the first thing that I did was look up shufflers in Seattle, and that definitely did help me find some people right off the bat. But just like any other kind of pocket of communities of people, you're not always going to vibe with every single person that you meet. And I had a lot of trouble finding people that I felt like were really like my people. And I had a lot of trouble feeling like I was genuinely welcomed and appreciated for who I was. And so that's part of why I created the community that I created, because I thought if I'm experiencing this, probably a lot of other people are experiencing it too. And I know the healing power of dance and shuffling and how it can bring people together. And I really wanted more people to be able to experience that for themselves and be able to find a place where they really felt like they belonged and they were valued and appreciated. And so that's kind of like the whole lore of You Can Shuffle With Us. Like, I created the community that I needed for myself.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, you actually beat me to it, but that's what I was going to ask. Like, that was the driver to sort of set up your own thing. What was there things specifically that just weren't vibing when you were seeking out new people and new connections here in Seattle? And Seattle's a weird place to get to know people anyway. Honestly, we're known for being the Seattle Freeze and that whole thing. Like, what was the deal? What was it hard for you?
Well, I think the cultural differences
No, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing.
The differences between coming from Georgia, which
Totally.
is known for Southern hospitality, where like you're pumping your gas and the person pumping gas next to you starts an in-depth conversation with you about like what's going on with your day, and then coming here and someone would be walking towards me on the sidewalk and then they would cross the street so that they didn't have to walk next to me on the sidewalk.
To make eye
I was
contact.
like, what is going on with people here? So the Seattle Freeze is definitely a real thing.
Oh, totally.
But also, I think within the shuffle community, as with any dance community and any arts and cultural community, there's always going to be evolution, and that's always going to create growing pains. And I kind of was at the front of that, and I experienced a lot of friction within the community. I was also kind of young and naive at the time, and I didn't really understand how to assimilate, so that part of that was on me. But yeah, just because of the values that I saw with shuffling and how I wanted to make it way more accessible to way more people, I think that was kind of a different approach than a lot of the shufflers that I was hanging out with at the time kind of had. And was there like a shuffle elite?
Like they weren't letting anybody in, like shuffle gatekeepers? I mean, we see it in DJs all the time, and even producers. A little bit of that.
I would say it felt a little bit gatekeepy at the time, and really the whole thing kind of happened because I started to teach classes. And I think being a newcomer on the scene and being someone that hadn't been shuffling as long, there was some confusion within them about like maybe why I felt like I was entitled to that.
Oh, I see.
And so me being naive and not understanding that, oh, scenes have politics, like I did not grasp that concept at all at the time. Right. I just kind of blundered my way into starting this new career for myself, not really, I think, like respecting the community that was already here that was built, but also B, just maybe kind of opening up a new avenue for shuffling that they didn't really think was fitting with the values. So yeah, it was tough at the time, but also I think that like if I hadn't gone through that, I never would have created what I created now and been able to actually impact people the way that I want to impact them. And no shade to them, they're still around, they're amazing dancers, they still have their crew doing their thing, and I think that's great. And I think that everybody should be able to dance however they want to dance with whoever they want to dance with. But yeah, we didn't fit. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think you're being very fair. I mean, like I said, this happens with DJs, this happens with producers. It in every sort of art. I mean, it happens in martial arts. Like sometimes I think there's a fear of losing the special thing to the masses by making it too accessible, or but the truth is, and I think you would probably agree with this, the truth is unless it's evolving, unless you're helping it grow, it's at some point it's going to die. And it might be a slow, miserable death. It might be a quick death, but it's not, if people aren't adopting it and embracing it, and you're not getting new blood in there and trying new things, and it's, what's it for, right? For your ego? I don't know.
That's exactly how I feel. Like if your culture is not evolving and growing, it's dying, and that's inevitable. So even though we may have differences in opinions and differences in approaches, I think a lot of the work that I've done has even directed people back to them. So, cool. We all kind of play a part, and I feel like if everyone could work together in the world, it would create such a great place, But isn't that the general sort of macro feast or famine mentality, right? Like abundance, or it's again, I think it happens in all the arts where you get a certain amount of people who just think there's not enough to go around. There's not enough exposure. And the other thing I would imagine, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, people probably shuffle for different reasons, right? Like just like DJ. And I think more than anything lately with social media and all that, we see people DJing to be famous, not to DJ because they love music. Maybe that's third on the list. Maybe it's not, And I don't know if that's dancing. Is it your number one thing? You just can't not dance, or is it a way to become famous and to get a lot of attention? There is definitely a lot of that going around, and there is definitely a lot of discourse within the shuffle community, especially about that, because shuffling has been underground for so long, and now, influencers, shuffle influencers is a new thing within the last 10 years. So it's definitely created a lot of waves, and I do kind of get lumped into that just because I posted a lot of content and I gained a little bit of a following for myself. But it's easy to look at what someone posts online and just think, oh, they just want attention and they don't really care about the dance. That's what I get comments a lot, is like, oh, you don't respect shuffling. And I'm like, you've never talked to me. You've never spoken with me for 2 seconds. You have no idea what I respect or don't respect or how I view the dance. And so I think that there is a huge kind of disconnect between kind of the old school shufflers in general, who see the new wave of shufflers coming in who are influenced by social media and are on social media and connecting that way, and they just don't really understand. Both sides kind of don't understand each other.
I think at some point, again, feel free to argue with me, but at some point, like with any scene, when you have that excitement and sort of that tidal wave of people like, oh, this may be a way to get famous or to get attention or to get popular, those people usually dip out at some point anyway, because they're not adopting a new discipline necessarily. They're looking for maybe an easy road or a different angle. But at some point, if the discipline's not there, how many of these people know how much time you spend in the studio every day or whatever? I'd be curious, how much time are you thinking about shuffling? Are you practicing in front of the mirror? Are you working on new things? Are you researching? Are you dealing with injuries?
Yeah, and that is another huge part of it. I do see people come in who are like, okay, I'm going to try to blow up on social media.
Right.
And I'm like, if you don't love it, if you don't eat, sleep, and breathe this, and it's not your actual passion that you're going to do, whether you get famous or not, you are not going to last, because what you see is a 30-second clip of me dancing. What you don't see is the training, the nights that I'm up until 3 a.m. because all the work hasn't gotten done for my classes. It's dealing with the injuries. It's dealing with all of the hate comments. There's so much that goes into it, and I'm very blessed to be in the position that I'm in and that I've worked very hard to be in. But it's really hard. Make no freaking mistake. This shit is rough at times.
You work hard.
Yeah, I think that the whole journey of entrepreneurship, especially as a creative person, it's really just a journey of self-development, and you have to face a lot of your shadows. You have to face a lot of parts of your ego that are gonna go out screaming and kicking, but ultimately it's gonna make you a better person if you're open to that process. And if you really, really love it and are committed to the dance, you will be open to that process. If all you want is to get famous, if all you want is to make money, it will be so much easier to make money doing other things.
Right.
Yeah, but you're just not gonna have the stamina to want to put yourself through that if you don't really love it.
And I think the other thing, people are they're just so laid back about how harsh they are online, because there's a screen and maybe miles between you and them. But I also, I also think that people don't, when you're dealing with somebody disciplined like you, they don't understand that whatever they say, you've already beat yourself up for it. You've already been your hardest critic. Like it's noisy, but it's not like the end of the world. And you know, I don't know. It always cracks me up when people, they especially on social media, they got a lot to say about other people, but it's like, hey man, like I've been doing this long before social media, and if you're pointing it out now, guess what? I figured it out like 3 years ago.
Yes.
So, and I'm working on it.
Or they're just saying stuff that like doesn't apply whatsoever. Totally. But I tell you what, never once have I clicked on someone's profile that's left me a mean hate comment and been like, ugh, I would just love to have this person's life. Like that's never once happened.
No, they're mad at their own life. That's what it is. I know I get pissed about stuff too sometimes, but yeah, I just it's on them. That's their thing. That's their mirror. You know, I heard a mentor of mine. I was just having a drink with a mentor of mine, and he said it's not jealousy. It's deeper than jealousy. He said, you represent the potential that they could have had.
Yes.
You know, and that's what pisses them off, and that's what makes them angry, and that's what makes them mean. You know, so I think that like clicked with me, because that was always the fallback. Oh, they're just jealous. No, it's not really about jealousy. It's like you're representing something that they didn't have the discipline to achieve, so they're going to shit on you for it, right?
Yeah, I think that's true, especially when I get hate comments from other people within the shuffle community. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, do you really hate what I'm doing, or do you just wish that like all the posts that you were making would blow up and you would have the same platform? Yeah. But also, when I get hate comments from just randos that have never met me before, I always think like whatever they're saying to me is not about me at all. There's no way it could be about me, because they don't know me. They have no idea what I'm about or who I am. And so they have made up this fake person with my face on it.
Based on your 30-second clips.
Yeah, that they're hurling all of this emotional poison onto, just because like they're walking around with pain in their lives. Yeah. There's a lot of hurting people out there. And like, you know what? If it makes them feel better to like get a little bit of that poison out by writing a hate comment to me, then like maybe that's the best thing that happened to them today. Good for them. Like keep it coming. It's gonna boost my engagement.
It does. They know it does. We all know deep down it doesn't, because I've left some hate. You know, not anymore. I don't do that on social media anymore.
For you.
I pay very little attention. Well, every once in a while, I got a sharp tongue, but especially when it comes to certain music. So, but no, it's and the other thing I think, and that actually leads me into ask you about teaching, because you know, it's one thing to adopt a discipline and to be focused on it and to be spending time doing it yourself. But I've done a little teaching in different things, martial arts. I've mentored some people, you know, just learning vinyl and little things. So I don't do it formally, right? But talk to me a little bit about teaching. Why did you want to teach? And what's the difference between Cisco working out her own routine and Cisco working with 10 other people with 10 different levels of ability?
Teaching is like, that's my shit.
Is it?
That's my favorite part. I love to dance, obviously, but there's just something about seeing people have that aha moment and seeing people grow, and that lights me up. I think everybody comes to Earth, you know, they incarnate on this Earth with like a gift that they're meant to give. And mine is teaching. I feel like whatever I learn, I can get pretty good at teaching it. And I just love to share that. I read in a book one time, I forget what it was, but it said to be human is to learn, and to be part of a civilization is to share that knowledge with others. And I thought that really resonates, because what do we have if we're just hoarding all this knowledge to ourselves and we're not sharing it and like helping the collective? And so teaching is really important to me. But it definitely comes with its own challenges, especially when you're in a class with mixed levels, mixed learning styles. You have to really be ready to adapt. And I think that when I first started teaching, I definitely went into it like, oh, okay, like I'm going to go in, I'm going to teach them my way, and like they're going to do what I do, and like it's going to be great. And in reality, like my students teach me just as much as I teach them. And you really have to just be present and be tapped into the energy of the room and really, really listen to people, open the door for questions, and be available for that. You can't just like bulldoze through it, doing your agenda, because people aren't going to get what they need out of that. And let's face it, people aren't coming into shuffle class to become professional shufflers. Like, not in Seattle, at least. Like, that path just isn't there. Those jobs aren't really there. And people are there because they want a community, they want to get fit, they want to have fun, and like they want to learn some cool moves and look good, you know? And so I think that like my kind of take on it is, if you can really create an open and welcoming environment where people feel special and like they don't feel like they're going to be judged or made fun of, they're going to be celebrated for whatever small wins they are able to achieve in class, like they're going to keep coming back, and then they're going to see growth and they're going to get better, and it's going to make their life better. So that's kind of my approach.
And they know if they're working too. Like, I think you probably dealt with students where they would just show up to class and that was their learning time. But then there's the other students that show up to class, they pick a few things up, they ask questions, they come back to the next class a whole different level because, you know, and those, it's fun to work with both types of personalities, but I really do appreciate, because then I think it does come back to that discipline and that pure love for whatever endeavor they're going after, right?
Yes, and those are the people that like make me get better too, because I'm like, oh shit, you're getting good. Like, I need to level up my own game. But I have people now that I've been teaching who are starting to teach their own classes. I have people that they came to me to start their shuffle journeys, and now they're on my performance team. And so, you know, some people, it's like a small percentage. Like, if you were to take the percentage of people that still are coming to my advanced classes versus like all the people that come through my beginner class, it's like 5%. Yeah. But those 5% are awesome. They're kicking ass. It's really, really cool to watch. Very inspiring.
It's the same with jiu-jitsu, honestly. Like, you start out with that 100%, and really like the ones that make it past blue belt, for instance, it's probably about 5% of where, and then brown belt's even smaller, and then, you know, and it's just, you got to love it, and you got to love the humility of it. And you know, nothing is more like crazy than you were teaching somebody, kind of mentoring them, and all of a sudden they're better than you at something. You're like,
yeah,
like,
that's humbling.
For a minute, it's like, oh, but then you got to feel pretty good about it too, right? Like, I've evolved that way as well. Like, so you showed somebody something a while back, and then all of a sudden they use it on you, and you're just like, wow.
The cool thing is when they explain something, and I'm like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I never looked at it like that.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
It's trippy. It's cool. Jiu-jitsu is cool, though. I think I lasted about 2 months in jiu-jitsu. I'm one of those people that dropped out.
You and most other people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard. It's hard. I'm shuffling. Like, one of your friends, I won't bring up their name, was showing me some steps, and I got like, I don't know, maybe on beat for like 2-3 beats, and I was like, nah, my knee hurts. There's no way I could do this.
That's so real. Yeah, relatable.
Yeah, but I love watching, and I think I was telling you before we got on camera, like one of the funny I kind of wrote shuffling in general off, right? And I'll tell, and it was I think that we were DJing at the beach, you know, 2 loser middle-aged guys DJing at the beach. Not loser, but you know, we do that. Like, it's super relaxing. Sangdo and I will play music. Sometimes Paul will join us. And there was a guy sort of like watching videos, just doing these very uncoordinated moves, like running man. And I asked Sangdo, what's he doing, man? Like, it's just like, it's like 2 different versions of the running man. He goes, oh, that's shuffling. And I was like, huh, okay. Weird. And then, but then I went to an event, and there was a whole crew of shufflers, and they were super badass, and it just completely took the energy of the room up. And then that light bulb clicked for me, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That dude is a beginner. He's figuring it out. He's a white belt, whatever. I was a dick thinking that, you know, that it was a little goofy that he was on the beach by himself learning to shuffle. And now I get it, because this is what it is. Yeah. You know? And
that's probably what he saw too. And then he went home and was like, I'm going to learn that.
And good for him for like going out in public and just like sitting with his iPhone.
Yeah. That's hard to do. It takes some balls to go out and practice in public.
I know. So look, I'm not too old to shift my perspective on stuff. And so when Sangdo said he actually knew you, I was like, oh man, yeah, let's get her in, because I just think that you guys add so much to the environment of an event. Like, the dancing's one thing, the discipline, the teaching, which I have huge respect for, but then actually coming and being able to level up an event or level up the energy in a room, it's fucking crazy. Like, DJs can do it sometimes, but even we struggle with it sometimes, you know, and a band or whatever. But you bring these dancers in who you think are, you know, I've seen dancers come in just as like sort of attendees to an event and just completely change the vibe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So what's that all about? Like, what is it? Is it just the passion, or what drives you? There's just like a vibe you guys bring that I really enjoy.
It's energetics.
Yeah.
I mean, when you are dancing, like when I step onto the floor, I'm not Cisco anymore. Like, I'm a blank canvas, and the music is painting me with a brush. I just tried to become the music. And you're just an open channel. Like, so much energy is moving through you. You're creating so much energy. And when you think about just dance in general and what dance is, it has been around in every culture all throughout history, from ancient times to now. And it's always been something that connects us and something that helps energy flow. It's always been part of rituals. It's always been part of celebrations. That is, I mean, in many respects, it's a sacred thing. And I think if you kind of approach it that way with your own practice, as like, this is my sacred thing to honor who I am as a person, and, you know, step into my own flow, then that's what you're going to bring to the floor at an event. And that is really attractive, because that is freedom. Yeah. And everybody wants to feel free. And I think that that's how we're supposed to feel as humans. And the more that you can dance, the more that you feel the joy and the connectedness and the passion that we're supposed to feel as humans. So of course, when you get a bunch of people channeling that same energy together, so like, fun. It's intoxicating. Yeah. And it's just, it permeates the entire room. So yeah, I think it's really cool too. I sometimes like to just sit back and watch. It's really cool. Like,
you could watch people's self-consciousness like visually drop, and like their inhibitions visually drop. When I saw this shuffle crew starting to do their thing, it was just like everybody loosened up, everybody got a little bit happier. It was like, oh well, we can express ourselves now.
Yes.
We don't have to, yeah, that was,
I mean, that's for me too. When I started shuffling, I mean, not to get into it too much, but I struggled severely with my mental health all as a young adult. And when I found shuffling in my 20s, I mean, I was at a point where I was having panic attacks so bad, like I went to the ER thinking I was dying, like I was having a heart attack or something. I had trouble even leaving my apartment. It was really surprising for me that I was able to latch onto something like performance art. I never would have thought that I would be doing something like getting on a stage, traveling to go to bigger stages, and talking on a podcast. Like, that was something that I just thought would never be something I could be comfortable with. And when I found dance, I found myself. And I think that, like, that's a really special thing that a lot of people find when they're able to, like, just kind of like let go and try something new, something creative. Yeah. Like, they're like able to discover this different piece of themselves, and they're like, oh wow, okay, if I can do that, I can do all this other stuff. Then, you know, it's a huge confidence builder, and it definitely helps you loosen up. Like, for me, if I go to an event and I can't dance, I will feel very fucking awkward. Yeah. But if I can dance, then like I will be the life of the party. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it does seem like something that we'll call it generalized anxiety or whatever, but performing does seem like completely counterintuitive for somebody with like any kind of anxiety, right? But I've seen it I've experienced it a little myself, right? Like, you're this anxious person, like the last thing you think about logically is, well, maybe I should get on a stage and go in front of a bunch of people, right? Just be totally exposed, you know, that maybe I'll do that. That seems like a great idea for my anxiety, but it is amazing how that door opens, and there's just like, now you look at changing a tire or whatever it is, like running a new software program, something that you've been like, oh, this is too much work, I'm too stupid, I can't figure this out, I don't have the physicality for this thing, but because you did that other thing, all of a sudden, you know. And I think it takes a ton of courage and maybe a little bit of stupidity too, because I don't mean that in delusion's a better word, right? Like, oh, this will fix me. I mean, what a crazy thing, but humans are so funny that way. We'll go do some of the craziest, wildest, most out there people, or people that told me they have like massive social anxiety, and they're like the most engaging, interesting folks around. So I don't know, there's something to it, and you tapped into it, you know. And I wanted to click on something that you said earlier, which was kind of talking about the history of dance, like throughout time. And shuffling's interesting because I did a little bit of background, but I don't know how much is accurate and how much is bullshit. And I don't know if ChatGPT is lying to me or whatever. Can you give us a little bit of background on where shuffling came from?
Oh man, I never thought to ask ChatGPT about shuffle history. I'm gonna have to do that.
I got some though.
See what it says. I will preface this by saying that shuffling history is mostly oral history, and it has been passed down through lots of different people. I certainly am not the end-all be-all of information about shuffle history.
This is not a test. I'm actually genuinely curious because I read a lot of different things, honestly. So whatever you say has probably got some accuracy to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, there's several different styles of shuffling. I
did not know
say that the two most popular right now would be Melbourne style from Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
And then the other most popular would be cutting shapes, which is the UK style of shuffle. People call it UK shuffle. At this point, there's so many substyles. There's Moss, there's Brazilian, there's Cali, and I think that shuffling has kind of evolved into an umbrella term. This is how a lot of people are describing it right now. And cutting shapes is almost now, some people call it UK shuffle and some people call it like shuffling's cousin from the UK.
Okay.
But they kind of share similar origin roots, especially Leroy Thornhill from The Prodigy. He was doing some shuffling in some of his videos.
Interesting.
It really came up in Melbourne in the clubs in like late 80s, early 90s. It evolved out of Melbourne stomping, and from there, students from Malaysia were studying in Melbourne. They kind of took the dance to Malaysia. They created their own style, and this was kind of like pre-internet. And so all these, we had the UK, who was listening to like mostly like garage. We had Melbourne, who was listening to more like hard style, and then we had Malaysian, and they kind of like matured their own styles independently in these little pockets. And then when YouTube happened, when the internet came around, now everybody all over the world is influencing each other, and so the styles really start to mesh and meld together a lot more at that point. So now most popularly you're going to see what's called hybrid shuffle, which is where people are kind of blending multiple styles together. But there are definitely some purists who really lean more one way or the other, and I think that really it just comes from the music. Like, if you're just listening to like garage or like house or like disco, you're not going to naturally bop and move your body the same way as if you're listening to like hard style or hard techno. It's just a completely different vibe. It's a different BPM. And so the way that you can move your body to it will change, and that's really what influences the dance. I mean, we don't like figure out a dance and then find a music to go to it, right? We're in the party. We're listening to the music, we're grooving to the music, and that's where the dance comes from. So anytime there's a change in music, there's also going to be a change in the dance as well, and it's ever evolving. I mean, there's people doing all kinds of stuff now that they weren't even doing like 5 years ago, so it's cool to watch that. Yeah,
you mentioned BPM. That's so cool because I was just thinking about that because I've watched enough shuffle videos with different BPMs, and because a lot of it's happening between the beats, right? Like that's where extra movements, or if it's very fast, you don't have that room unless you're super athletic, right? So
yeah, there's a few beasts out there. I'm not one of them.
Where they're doing like 2 or 3 different things between, right? Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's like anything else, and you know, they evolve. Like, and in fact, when I first saw shuffling after I got past the condescending Running Man bullshit, I started thinking, you know, there's some moves in there that look like what I would have assumed the Flappers were doing in the 20s, and then some Northern Soul stuff I've seen in the 70s, and I was like, oh, this is way deeper rabbit hole than I thought it was, you know.
1,000%. Yeah. I mean, well, especially if you're looking at cutting shapes in the UK, I mean, it's surrounded by all these different cultures, and swing dance was especially popular
tap,
then,
right? Like,
all that was kind of like adapted to kind of fit into with the micro bounds. It kind of fits into the pocket of shuffling. And then another cool thing that I was talking to a Melbourne shuffler who was there like 40 years ago, and he was talking about how like the professional ballet scene in Melbourne was like really big at the same time that shuffling was coming up, and the ballerinas would come to the clubs and would dance at the clubs, and they would start shuffling, and they'd incorporate some of their spins in it, and that's kind of how spinning became such a huge part of Melbourne shuffle. So I mean, ultimately everybody learns from each other, right?
I might be dating myself here, but have you watched the movie Flashdance?
No.
Okay, this is good. You got homework. You ready? So Flashdance is about, I think it's in New York, these New York dancers, like they're formally trained ballet dancers. But there's an element where they go and they like, they get into this more edgy dancing, and then they see break dancers, and like you start to see how certain things influence other things. Like a lot of things happening on the street start influencing things that are happening in the more professional or refined environments, right? Which is exactly what you're saying is happening with ballet and shuffling, which is so cool. I love to see that. I have a bunch of nieces that are they dance with Exit Space, in different levels.
Cool. Yeah.
And so I always go to their performances. It's like one of my favorite things to do. So don't judge me, but yeah, I love going to the dance performances.
I think that's so
it's
cool.
So fun.
It's almost like a different art form when you're watching something like that that's so highly choreographed. It's so crafted to be perfect. Yeah. And then you go see street dancers or club dancers, and like really all they care about is like feeling the vibe and like grooving and stuff like that. It's they're both totally valid, but
you're seeing the urban
so
influence and vice versa too, right? The street will take stuff from these formally trained dancers and just completely tweak it and make it like insane, and the formally trained dancers are grabbing stuff from the urban settings as well, which is so cool. That's why I love watching. I just love the physicality of it too. So when you did, I know you've danced at clubs and danced at festivals, like Beyond Wonderland, for instance. Were you booked as a team to like go and be an added element to the event? Was that how that worked?
So for Beyond Wonderland, I was actually booked to teach shuffle workshops there.
Oh shit! Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so that was super awesome because it really Insomniac. They're really like one of the first festivals to give shuffling kind of an opportunity like that. And it's really cool to see shuffling grow. After that, I got booked at like Texas Eclipse Festival to go teach shuffling. Shuffling is being taught in a lot more settings now, but to get shufflers booked as performers on stage is still super new. It's still super hard to get booked as that. My team, we do kind of a blend of shuffle and go-go, which I think makes it a little bit more palatable for people that are going expecting like a typical sexy go-go dancer. And then we can also throw shuffling in, it's kind of like spreading some awareness.
Got it.
There are other teams that do perform shuffling. The Shuffle Girlies is the main one that I can think of, but they don't all live in the same place. They'll kind of get together for big events when they're booked. And there's certain dancers that get booked for like one-off events. But as far as like a dedicated team of shuffle performers that's together regularly performing, as far as I know, and I would love to be educated if I'm wrong, whoever's watching, but I think we might be the only ones in the US regularly doing it to the degree that we are. So I would love to see more doors open for that because shuffling and DJs belong together.
I totally agree. Like, come to our party, please. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, it elevates the vibe so much having like this crew doing that thing. And I don't want to say coordinated. There's a level of coordination, but then also you guys are doing your thing,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very cool. Okay, so when you're like at Beyond Wonderland, when you're teaching, are you scheduling times? Is going to be a shuffle workshop at this time, kind of? Okay.
Yeah, they schedule it in. They'll have like other activities, like we're going to do a yoga class, or we're going to make candy, and then it'll be like learn to shuffle. That's me.
Have you ever seen somebody that you taught in like your shuffle class out there just
all the time
doing their cool?
And especially now, I mean, not just at Beyond Wonderland, but I've been teaching in Seattle since 2021, I think. Well, I've taught my very first class in 2020, and then the pandemic happened. Right. So then I started teaching again at the very end of 2020 or beginning of 2021. So at this point now, 4 years later, there is not a single show I go to where I don't see somebody that I've taught. And it's amazing because it's like, no matter where I go, I have a group of best friends ready to dance with me. It's freaking great.
So how much of your time is like used? I think this will go back to the haters too, but how much of your time are you spending actually dancing, like refining your own discipline, choreographing for maybe your crew or other crews, and just like teaching? Like, is your whole world essentially dance one way or another for the most part?
So I would say yes. Unfortunately, in February of this year, I blew out my knee, MCL and meniscus, and it's only just in the last 2 weeks, like pretty much back. So I spent 8 months of this year. I was shuffling full time for for years, like 3 years. 2 or 3 years. And then like I had to find supplemental income this year.
Yeah.
So now that I'm back to training, I'm probably training for about an hour a day while I'm still getting my knee strength up.
Totally.
Before, when I was shuffling full time, I would be training regularly for an hour at least a day, and then I would spend maybe an hour choreographing, a couple hours teaching classes, and then depending on the day of the week, I would also be spending time like making content or going to rehearsals. So yeah, basically my entire world was dance. And I think that's probably part of why I got injured too, because I was also competing in powerlifting. And so sometimes I'd be in the gym for like 2-3 hours, and then I would go to rehearsal for like 3 hours, and then I would teach a class, and my body was like, nope, we're all done with that.
You're
Way
young,
too
but you got to
much.
give yourself some recovery for sure. Did you hurt yourself shuffling or lifting?
Shuffling. I was actually on stage.
Oh,
when it
God.
happened. Yeah.
Is it on video somewhere? Do I not want to see it?
I don't think it is on video, or I'm sure I would have seen it by now.
Okay,
but
good.
yeah, it's like every performer's worst nightmare for sure.
Was it dramatic, or was it just like one of those things where you limped off like something's not right?
I could definitely tell something happened, but fortunately I didn't like collapse or anything. I just kind of like hit a pose, and then I like desperately made eye contact with my other girl and was like, switch places with me, and I limped off. Yeah, at first I had like so much adrenaline going, of course, because I was performing, that I was like, after I walked on it a bit, I was like, okay, it feels weird, but like maybe it's
Feels a
fine.
little sloppy.
So I tried to go back up, and then as soon as I jumped on it, I was like, no, this is not fine. So
But it's healed now. You're on the mend.
yeah, it feels like 90% better.
Yeah.
And now it's just the mental blocks,
Yeah.
which is the hardest part of returning after an injury. I went through one injury before with my ankle. I was out for 10 months with that. And at the end of that time period, both times now, I kind of have this thing where I'm like, do I even like dancing anymore?
Right.
Am I going to be good at it? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Maybe I should just try something else. And it's just fear, and it's ego, and
Yeah.
it's something that you have to just push yourself to show up every day and let it be bad if it's going to be bad, but like just show up, and eventually you get back into the groove.
Yeah, I think everybody who does some kind of physical discipline, like you go through injuries, and especially people who are a little bit obsessed with it or focused on it, the fear is that you backslide, right? Or that people are going to get better. At least for me personally, I'm speaking from, as I've dealt with several injuries through martial arts, and you're just like, you hurt your back, you hurt your knee, you hurt whatever, and then you can't go and train for a month or 2 months while everybody else is training for those 2 months, and it's so stressful. And then you're like, do I even want to do this anymore? And will I ever be back where I was? And you will, but it's coming back from injury is like everybody's least favorite.
Yes, the ego takes a lot of blows. And for me especially, I mean, for years I was kind of the only one really organizing community for shuffling in Seattle. I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I was like doing classes, hosting meetups, had the team going, and I think I came to derive a lot of my value as a human being from being in that position where I was making everything happen.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, when I'm injured, I'm not making anything happen. And so, like, that's bad enough. But then as the community has evolved and developed and grown on their own, now, like, throughout this year, a couple other people have started teaching classes. There's a new group that's come out, and they've started doing like shuffle battle training. And so I kind of had to go through this ego death where I was like, oh, I'm not the only person that makes things happen. And that's a good thing, because what I wanted was to have a beautiful, huge, thriving community. And so I need to detach myself from the idea that I have to be the one making everything happen, because if it's going to be a big community, I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And so rather than being like, the world is passing me by,
Right.
oh no, I had to just be like, no, I love these people, and like I can celebrate their accomplishments and trust that like eventually I'm going to be back in the game doing stuff too. Yeah.
And the truth is, probably your early work that you did put some of that in motion. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you think that it's moving on without you. The world's moved on, right? And you're, when you're just icing your knee or whatever, right? Like,
seriously,
it sucks. You're not essential anymore. But yeah, you're right. It's tied to ego, and I'm glad you got over it. I think that's the hardest part of all this stuff, is that for whatever reason, having to take a break from this thing that you love so much, and it sucks. I tore my bicep earlier this year, so I couldn't even use my arm for like. I mean, it's like a full 6-7 month healing.
Are you right-handed?
Injury. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm
Think
so
of all the things you
sorry.
do with your dominant hand. It's just
That's horrible.
That sounded terrible. But no, it's just like just grabbing your toothbrush. Like the little things are so goofy. Yeah, and you really. I went through my own ego death. I couldn't even DJ because my arm was stuck in this position. So I had to like sort of do things left-handed. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it when I get my cast off.
Yeah, it's humbling. You learn a lot of lessons though, right? That you like couldn't have learned without that.
Yeah, and the way I kind of started to manage it, maybe you did the same, but I've kind of decided like when the world zigs, I zag. So okay, well I can't DJ and I can't do jujitsu. Well, what am I gonna do? I gotta start reading, start writing, start doing some other things. Maybe I can work on some music. Maybe I can. It just like I think that's the way I I don't know if it's healthy or not, but sort of managed like out of commission from the things that I love the most.
Yeah, I mean a healthy dose of dissociation is fine. It's totally fine.
But it's hard. I didn't just sit and watch Well, maybe for a week I sat and watched Netflix, but then after that I was like, okay, something's gotta give. Yeah.
I weirdly got like super into meditation because I've always wanted to start a meditation habit, and then I just always told myself I was too busy, which is insane. But then I was like, I have nothing else to do. I guess I'll just meditate for like 2-3 hours. Got into the Gateway tapes. Yeah, whole new rabbit hole.
Well, and I was going to ask you more of a macro question. So from when you started shuffling to where you are now, first of all, is this the journey that you envisioned, or has it become something entirely different than when you watched your first YouTube video and said, I want to try that?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I mean, I would say that as soon as I kind of found shuffling, I knew that it was going to be really important to me, and I knew it was going to be really important to my own growth. I did not have the vision that I was going to be in the position that I'm in now, running a community and impacting this many people. And that honestly is kind of scary because leadership requires a lot of humility and a lot of responsibility that I have had to learn along the way, sometimes with lessons learned the hard way. But I think ultimately when I tune in to, like what my higher self is telling me and what I feel like my calling is and my purpose is, this is aligned. And I really feel like there are some people that are just wired to like rage and be the ones who tear down what's not working, and then there's some people who are wired to like hold the vision and build the better way. And I think that I'm like one of those people that is just really, really focused on trying to build a better way. And somehow dance has created an avenue for me to do that. So I'm really grateful for that.
And I think people miss that. That's awesome. I mean, I think what people miss a lot of times with leadership is probably the biggest element of it is service, right? It's not being the magnet, it's not being on stage, it's not being the spokesperson, it's being in this mode where you're providing service for everybody else and elevating everybody else, and it takes a lot. It's hard,
Yeah, it takes
and
I
think social media, back to that, it throws people off because they don't understand, like, you making content. It's not, there's maybe an element of look at me, but it's you providing like exposure and expanding the vision of what shuffling and all these other things. There's a service element to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you are a true leader, it's really not about you at all. It's about the people that you're serving. They're the ones who are in charge. And a lot of people want the respect and the notoriety of being the boss, but nobody really wants the responsibility of being the leader. That is the hard part. Yeah. And that is the hard part with me too, showing up on social media, because I get torn with like, okay, I don't want this to be about me, but I have to kind of like make it about me on social media if I'm going to get more people into the community and kind of like grow what I'm supposed to grow. And so, of course, I'm always like kind of at war with like, I hate social media, but I need social media. It's a very like love-hate relationship that we've built together, but we're still going. So yeah,
well, I think you're navigating it as best you can. I think everybody's still trying to figure out that, because it's a weird friction point. You want to share things and show people things, but it's not necessarily out of a look at me position, but that's just inevitable anyway. So I don't know. I wish I had the answer. I wish I knew the answer. I think everybody struggles with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of like the first generation that has had to deal with it, so we have to figure it out, hopefully for the next. But it really is just a tool, and however, like a surgeon can use a knife to save someone's life, or a killer can use it to take someone's life. So it's the same thing with social media. Like, however you want to use it, whatever message you want to amplify or whatever message you want to receive, you can train it to do that for you. It's just like takes a lot of intentionality, which I think most people log into social media not being intentional.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
So on that note, social media aside, like what's the big vision for the community that you've created that's thriving? And is there have you mapped it out, or are you just?
Well, ultimately, I would love to open my own studio / community space where it's not just like I go here to take classes. It's also like I go here to practice and hang out and like be with my people. I think that especially in Seattle during the winter, we really need that.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody can practice inside in their apartments, just making life hell for their downstairs neighbors, which I have done. I feel guilty, but I have done that.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, we need our own space. So like that is like the main goal that I'm just kind of tirelessly working towards at this point. But ultimately also I want us to be just a really thriving, healthy community of people that love each other, not just dancers. So like one thing I did was on our Discord, I created this thing that I called Shuffler Economy, where basically everybody can go in there and post things that like they make, little products that they make, or skills that they have, and then you can go in there and go shopping, and if you find somebody that's offering something that you need, you make them a counter offer, but no money's allowed to be exchanged at all.
Wow.
And so I've actually heard from several people that have used it and had great experiences. And I think that it kind of is just one way that reduces the friction of like asking for help and strengthening community bonds.
Right.
That's really what people need. And so any little thing that I can find to do that and to help people grow closer together and work towards things together and be vulnerable with each other is kind of in my vision.
Yeah. Again, another contradiction, right? Because social media, there's a lot of, there's vulnerability on social media, but a lot of it's fake. It's the best version of you showing up, right? And I think I'm learning this too, but people want to see vulnerability. They want to understand that you're human. They want to know that you destroyed your knee and came back, right? Like,
right.
This is the stuff that people don't necessarily know when they're watching you rip it up on stage.
Yeah, and I think people are, thank God, finally kind of getting over this addiction to watching perfect influencers kind of perform a specific version of their life for you. And now people are craving that authenticity and that vulnerability and that relatability. And I'm so glad, because that's so much healthier for us as a collective. But also, like, that's what I do. So hopefully my time is coming.
No, I mean, and that was, I know there's always a story behind the story. And that's why we really wanted to get you in here, and just not only for my own education, but just to like have you be able to have a platform to share the struggles, not just the wins, right? Any big events or anything coming up for you soon, over the winter, next summer, anything?
Like as far as the community goes?
Yeah, as far as community, performance, there's probably a lot that it's in the works.
There's like always things happening. I mean, I think our next thing is on Sunday. We're having a meetup, and it's going to be more like old school kind of Cali style shuffling. And then we're going to be performing at Daybreakers on the 18th, which is like a daytime party in Seattle. But yeah, I mean, there's constantly stuff going on. So
is there a person who's on the fence, maybe like you were on the fence, but maybe a little more shy, maybe a little bit, just hesitant, just in life in general, because there's a lot of us out there, right? Like, what would you tell them if they were thinking, if they've been saying for the last week or the last 2 months, like, I really want to go take a class and figure this out, and they never quite make it there? Like, what would be your words of wisdom to pull them in?
Treat your joy like it's more important than your fear. And rather than focusing on all the things that could go wrong and all the things that you're afraid of, just decide that like your chance at happiness is more important, and that's the thing that you're gonna put your energy towards. And just show up. It's totally non-judgmental. You're gonna be in a room full of a ton of other people trying things for the first time just like you. They're also afraid of looking dumb just like you, and so everybody just hypes each other up. It's really a wonderful environment.
And if they want to come and take a class from you specifically, where do they go?
You can find all the information for classes on youcanshufflewithus.com or on the Instagram at youcanshufflewithus.
We will leave the links for that. I don't know, anything else? Did I miss anything? Anything else you want to share, talk about?
Oh man, I could yap for hours.
I know, I could
but
too.
I feel like we got a lot of good stuff.
We got a lot of
there.
good stuff.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming in. I know it's a little different. Like I was saying, you're sort of music adjacent, but very critical to the community, my community that I'm a part of. And really it's one big like dance music community, old people like me and young people like you. And I think there is I don't know, there's a synergy there. I can't think of another word that's not so corporate fucking Amazon sounding, but right, like really like the dancers and the people who do the lighting and the people who do the visuals and the DJs and the producers, like none of it would be happening if everybody wasn't doing something, right?
Yeah.
And I think you guys are a critical piece, and a piece that I overlooked for a long time until I like saw it and I was like, oh, I get that. So
yeah,
it's been awesome to talk to you. It's been awesome to learn about this stuff. You know, and I can't wait to go to one of you guys' events or have you show up at one of our events and see what I think that would be a good time.
That was so. Thank you so much. It was truly an honor, and I know you're used to talking to DJs, so.
Yeah, they're boring. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm gonna tell them you said that.
I'm one of them. That's what I'm saying. No. I love all the aspects of, you know, kind of and we can call it underground still or not, because it just formed who I am today, you know. And a lot of people that I know, like who are, whether they're in their 30s or 40s or 50s, like music has been a huge part, and the culture around dance music is just like, I don't know where I would have been without it. And I think you probably same story, right? Yeah.
Saved my life.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made you who you are, and you know, I don't know what else can you say about it, but I don't know. It's good talking to you. Thanks for coming through.
Good talking to you. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
And yeah, we'll catch you next time, or catch you at one of your performances, or maybe I'll make Sangdo to go to one of your classes.
Yeah, make him.
Sangdo
Bring the
Paul.
camera. Let's go. We're doing it.
Wait, before we go, is there a specific outfit one needs to wear to a shuffle class?
Whatever makes you feel confident, whether it's sweatpants or like a Hoochie Mama rave outfit, whatever you want to wear is great. But I will say that like the parachute pants
They look cool.
They're pretty cool. And like the baggier the clothes,
Yeah.
the better your moves look, because like people can't
There's
tell
like
if you
a-
miss up a little bit.
Yeah.
There's like a flow
A
of
delay,
the
yeah,
fabric.
yep.
Yeah, so baggy is good.
But I've seen some fur bikinis too, so
Yeah.
I'm not complaining
You can
about that.
shuffle in
either.
anything.
Right.
If you have
All right. Well, thank you, Cisco.
Thank you.
With a swagger in my feet. 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 I am feeling so complete. With a swagger in my feet. With a swagger in my feet. With a swagger in my feet. I am feeling so complete. Feet.